I've decided it's time to start the PS2 catalog. With over 4,000 games, I definitely need all the time I can get. Don't you worry, there are still many PS1 masterpieces left to play, their time will come. But today, we're jumping into something different. An unseasoned fighting game. A very cinematic brawler. Released in the year 2000 by Square. Yes, the very same people behind Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 4. This was their debut on Sony's newest and most promising hardware at the time, the PlayStation 2. One of the early titles meant to show off what this machine could do. Is it good? Is it bad? The reviews out there are not kind, but I'm figuring it out by myself. So sit tight, because today we're playing The Bouncer. This game definitely made me feel nostalgic. I never played this one specifically before, but I can already see the jumping quality that the PlayStation 2 brought in. I'm a big time Final Fantasy enjoyer, so these cutscenes immediately feel familiar. Now, as for my expectations for this one, they are all over the place. Square doing a fighting game? They're not exactly known for that. The Bouncer is a title that evokes pure badassery, so I was expecting a really grounded story where we are bodyguarding a place or someone. The game's menu already shows how far ahead it is compared to the PlayStation 1, and as you can see, it includes survival mode and versus. But for now, we're diving straight into the story mode. The opening sequence of the campaign begins with a news brief announcing the launch of a solar power generator satellite by the company Mikado. You know, the usual fantasy science stuff in these universes. The broadcast rapidly turns into stuff you see in class. This woman watching the program receives a sudden notification identifying a target, a girl by the name of Dominic Cross. The system fully scans the young woman, pinpoints her location, and sends out commands to an unknown receiver. The target is heading to the bar. Mikado Corporation is already on the move, permission to eliminate target if necessary. Clearly, Dominic is hiding something extremely valuable, because Mikado is deploying real military forces just to capture her. Half the budget feels like it went straight into these opening scenes, and I cannot complain. Mikado's troops begin surveilling the streets, scanning the city in search of the young woman. Dominic eventually reaches the bar and greets the metalhead bouncer working the door, Volt. I wouldn't mess with that guy. Inside, the atmosphere is calm. Dominic heads upstairs after being told by the boss that someone is waiting for her. That's when we meet the other two bouncers of the story, Ko. There are many ways to describe him, I'll leave that up to you, and Sion, both resting before their respective shifts. The group chats about how Sion has been working at the bar for over a year. Dominic gives him a small gift, and for a moment everything feels normal, then it happens. Mikado's forces storm the rooftops. Everyone looks up. Freeze frame, what a way to start the game. You are immediately given the choice, which bouncer you want to fight with. Characters are not locked to specific moments, you are free to choose whoever you want, or even use the same one for the entire story. Each bouncer comes with different stats and strengths. For this fight, we're going with the Disney boy himself, Sion Barsag. The conflict begins, and it looks good. It plays like a 3D beat 'em up where you can move freely around the environment. The ragdoll physics are wonky, that's funny, but this is also where you immediately notice what's wrong with the bouncer fighting game. The fighting isn't fluid. It is simply not possible to hit combos within your moveset. You can only spam the same moves. After defeating the top soldiers, something you can track in the top right corner showing remaining enemies, your fellow bouncers move downstairs, where two more soldiers are waiting. I really like the fight taking place in different spots of the same location. You can actually take the fight whatever you want. Once the final soldiers are defeated, you're rewarded with bouncer points, which are essential experience points. These can be spent after battle to upgrade your stats or unlock new moves. As you can see, Sion is a very balanced character. Rank G, life points 80, power 55, defense 55. As you continue choosing him in combat and investing in points, his rank increases from G to F, and so on. The fight is over, but we left Dominique alone. She's the main target, and she's quickly abducted by the leader of the Mikado forces. Now the bouncers suddenly have a real mission on their hands. Forget the daily, nightly job and rescue the girl. Everyone is quite confused about the attack. Bolt happens to know that Mikado is behind it, and Ko starts asking his contacts on how to reach them. He receives a lead, and the clock starts ticking. In 30 minutes, a train will depart from the central station straight into the heart of Mikado territory. Time to move. The bouncers make a run for the station, but of course, they don't get far before getting ambushed by more soldiers. Fight act number 2. I'm going with Bolt. This man is blonde, clearly listens to Metallica, and is at least twice the size of Xion. Based on his looks alone, I expected him to be the strongest brawler in the game. I was wrong. Bolt is sluggish. His movements feel even more limited than Xion's. The one thing he does have going for him is his massive health bar. Pretty much the tank of the team. It's kind of incredible how, in a fighting game, I was having fun not because of the fighting. It's like if a car wash had amazing customer service, but did a completely mediocre job at actually washing your car. With the fight over, the coast is clear, but there's still a train to catch. At the top of the station entrance, a Black Panther is staring down our heroes. In any other world, this will be extremely concerning, but here, barely any comments on the massive predator silently judging them in the middle of the city.
You recognize that Black Panther?
No.
We rush into the station only to find the entrance tightly guarded by Mikado's security forces. There's no way around it, no side path, brute force it is. So we pick Ko. Easily my favorite character, cool design, great style, and a moveset that leans heavily into kicks, which makes him really fun to use. It's also here that I casually discovered the Trinity Rush, an epic combo move that involves all 3 characters at once. It looks incredible and feels powerful, but damage-wise, it's wives' tales. To activate it, one character has to taunt and the other must respond via R2 with another taunt. I actually like this mechanic a lot, I just wish it was more relevant. The bouncers manage to catch the train as it's departing the station. They don't get inside though, they just hang from the back of it. So now we're speeding through the city, freezing cold, clinging into a moving train. Naturally, an alarm goes off. The Mikado forces inside the train are alerted to the intruders and begin heading towards our wagon. This triggers a series of fights on top of the train. I don't know how safe these fights are supposed to be, but they're definitely fun. My only complaint is that I really wish you could knock enemies off the train. The game sets it up perfectly and then just refuses to let you do it. Square is not that violent, I guess. The rooftop section ends with a boss fight, Echidna, someone who is very clearly not dressed for this weather and who also seems to have a past with Bolt, since they both acknowledge each other. Echidna is a problem. She fights using capoeira, and this is where the Tekken inspiration becomes impossible to ignore. She moves exactly like Eddie Gordo, while Ko has animations that feel straight out of Warren. Not very subtle. This is also where I get my first defeat. Your teammates can be knocked out and you can keep fighting, but if you fall, the stage immediately ends and you're sent back to the last save point. Which makes one thing very clear: save after every single battle. You do not want to repeat these cutscenes. With Echidna defeated, she escapes, and the bouncers continue their journey towards Mikado. No one manages to kick us off the train, but then, out of nowhere, an airship begins attacking it. Soldiers in the wagons report that the attack has damaged the brakes. The train can no longer stop. Bolt proposes the only possible solution, since a crash is imminent: detach one of the rear wagons. This part is rather interesting. You choose a character and you need to look for an engineer's key card that will allow you to detach the rear wagon of the train, but you're on a timer. This plays out in 2 ways. If you don't find a key card, the train barrels at full speed into the Mikado train station and explodes like it's the 4th of July. The crash floats the corridors ahead, forcing you to fight and progress while water levels keep rising. It adds real urgency. You're not just punching guys anymore, you are also raising the rising H2O. If you do find the keycard, the last wagon gets detached. The train still crashes at the way station, but without the fireworks show. This lets you advance through the Mikado security corridors without the flooding emergency. Small change that affects the difficulty in your playthrough greatly. You're zealous! How did you figure this out? Well, I initially failed. I didn't find the keycard, the explosion caused the water to rise everywhere, and I wasn't paying enough attention, so Sora drowned. The bouncers are scared of nothing, because when air carriers start hunting them down, they decide to hijack one for themselves. Do any of you guys know how to fly this thing? Oh, we just kidnapped the driver. That's fine, but I will still be at edge. We take the ship all the way to the top of the Mikado building, where we finally spot Dominique inside a dome. We politely ask the driver to drop us off. His response is to parachute out immediately. Bolt tries to control the ship, but to no avail. The carrier crashes into a rooftop forest not too far from the dome. Thankfully, we all survive. As we move through this very artificial looking forest, we run into dogs that are clearly engineered or modified. That's no bueno. Why is it always Dobermans? Every time a game needs evil dogs, it's Dobermans. Resident Evil did irreversible damage to their PR. The robot dogs alert security, and suddenly we're fighting the same special forces that originally captured Dominique. So the difficulty is definitely ramping up. Besides, this Doberman got hands. You don't believe me? Watch this. I still have not recovered from that. After taking them down, the leader of Mikado forces show up. The very same guy that took Dominique. He is a boss fight that likes to play insanity, but he isn't all that. Besides, in these stages, for good or bad, if you defeat the main target, you don't need to keep fighting the others, which feels kinda meh, because those are missed experience points. Up close, the dummy is massive, way bigger than what it looked from the distance, and getting inside is not straightforward. The bouncers circle the place trying to figure out an entry point. Inside, things get weird really fast. A woman calmly playing the piano suddenly transforms into the panther we've seen earlier. Dominique lies unconscious, while Doragon, president of Mikado, issues orders to a man named Wong. His command is, take the girl to the gallows. Tension arises when Gong and Doragon are openly clashing over the orders. Before anything can really escalate, Wong is effortlessly taken out by the blonde villain, and at that exact moment, the bouncers finally break in. This old man is actually Sion's master. When did that happen? Where was his mention? Doragon then reveals another bombshell. He's Dominique's brother. He flat out refuses to hand her over, which makes you wonder for a second. Is this somehow the end of the game? This kicks off another boss fight where Doragon handicaps himself by chaining one of his arms. Weird flex, but okay. The fight turns into a 2v3. The Panther and Doragon versus the Bouncers. Just imagine waking up from unconsciousness and immediately seeing this unfold in front of you. The battle is not easy, but eventually you push through and win. After the fight, Doragon recognizes Bolt, hinting at his past work with Mikado. He violently pushes Sion, snaps his finger, and the floor collapses beneath the Bouncers, sending them falling into one unknown fate. We then cut to a series of flashbacks showing Doragon and Dominique's past. Dominique needs medical attention and Doragon desperately asks house to house for help, only to be ignored. Eventually, they are stopped by the then master of Mikado, who saves them and adopts Doragon, but only on the condition that he trains to become the next head of the corporation. What's Doragon's current plan actually remains unclear. The action keeps rolling where you pick a bouncer and have to make your way back to Dominique. Now completely separated from the rest of the group, this section is really fun. If you choose Bolt or Sion, the path is pretty direct. You fight your way upward and interrogating soldiers on how to get up. If you choose Ko, the game suddenly turns into a stealth mission. He goes full incognito, steals a soldier's uniform, and blends in as he makes his way through Mikado territory. Here's a twist. Mikado soldiers don't communicate with words initially. They communicate with poses. There are 4 of them total, and if you want to advance peacefully, you have to perfectly copy whatever pose the guard throws at you. This is really funny and challenging if you struggle with memory. I nail every single pose, right up until the very end, where one guard just throws every pose at once. At that point, it feels like the fight is just unavoidable. That has to be scripted or something. Either way, we clear them out, learn where Dominique is being held, and by some miracle reunite with the other bouncers at the exact same place and time. Ko doesn't make it out clean though. He's suddenly grabbed by Bolt and violently thrown straight into a group of soldiers who are already brawling with Sion. And of course, Mugetsu, the leader of the Mikado forces, is here too. Ko drops the disguise, reveals his face, and it's time for round 2. Now with Mugetsu acting even more deranged and even more elite forces. Then again, I just did the same. Got rid of the main target and the stage is over. At last, we finally reach Dominique. Now awake, she and Sora share a brief moment, immediately cut short because we are still deep in enemy territory. We're on top of the building, alarms are blaring, and Mikado forces are on full emergency alert because of us. Bolt comes up with a plan. 2 bouncers create a diversion while one escorts Dominique out quietly. You get to choose who protects her. At the time I went with Bolt, and it makes sense. He's the most experienced of the 3, not the most fun to play, but whatever. It's also kind of hilarious that if you choose Ko, Dominique complains a lot, and if you choose Bolt, she still complains, just noticeably less. The score mission with Dominique is rough. It's mostly robots, slow, heavy enemies, but somehow Bolt feels even slower than they do. You have to move down several floors and all within the same health bar. This is the tricky part. Took me around 10 minutes after multiple failures, but when I finally cleared it, I received tons of experience points in return. As Dominique and Bolt makes their escape, they call a service elevator, and it opens to reveal something straight out of Devil May Cry. A hostile, hyper-stylized robot shows up, immediately grabs Dominique and pulls her away. The other bouncers arrive just in time. It's another boss fight. This thing is called PD4, and it's a problem. The robot clearly studied martial art films, because it fights with a full take on the style and has a segmented arm that works like a whip. It's flashy, aggressive, and annoying, but we got plot armor, so eventually it goes down. 5 more PD4 units show up at once, and for a moment it actually feels like this might go very badly. Except something happens. Somewhere up in space, a satellite activates and Dominique suddenly switches modes. She wipes out all 5 PD4 units on her own, effortlessly, proving she's not just capable, but possibly more dangerous than the bouncers themselves. At this point, you really have to ask, why are we protecting her? Is she a robot? Go happens to know something. Mugetsu appears again, just long enough to take Dominique and drop a clue about where he's headed, the Gallius shuttle, where Doragon is waiting. That's when it fully sinks in for Cyan. The girl he cares about is not human, and he does not take it well. Bolt explains everything. Dominique is modeled after Doragon's dead sister. He tried everything to bring her back, and this is what remains. An android built in her image, kept alive as both a memory and the key to controlling the satellite in space. At this point, the bouncers are way too deep to walk away. They push forward toward the shuttle, cutting through more robots along the way. Echidna shows up again, and once again she gives me trouble. She's dancing around like it's a performance while I'm clearly not having a good time. Eventually, the redhead goes down, and when we demand directions, she tells us the launch preparations should already be underway. The cutscene confirms them immediately. The shuttle is leaving. Seems like we're going to get our hands in some flying ships again. Bolt takes control of an air carrier, and as we close in on the Gallios, Mugetsu decides he wants round 3. You get to choose who pilots, and once again it turns into a 2-on-1 fight against this completely unhinged man. Logically, I leave Bolt on the controls, he's clearly capable, while Ko and Sion handle Mugetsu. To his credit, Mugetsu does show up with a new moveset, but the result is the same. He gets launched off the ship and is instantly incinerated in midair by the Gallios boosters. That's his ending, hopefully. Inside the ship, Dominique is once again unconscious, fully under Doragon's control. The bouncers push deeper, but before we can reach him, the Panther blocks our path. What's her deal? No idea. Hopefully Peta is not watching because she goes down again. She seems to recognize Sion, but he claims she just reminds her of someone she used to know. We finally reach Doragon. At this point, he absolutely has to be stopped. His plan is full global control through the satellite, with Dominique as the key. This is the final fight, and I take him on as Ko. Doragon is by far the worst enemy in the entire game, and it doesn't help that your 2 AI allies barely participate. I'm getting targeted non-stop, destroyed repeatedly, and when I say repeatedly, I mean a lot. Pure patience eventually gets me through the first phase. Then, the second phase hits. Doragon throws off his coat and starts fighting in just his overalls, signaling he's done messing around, he's faster, more aggressive, and once again it takes several attempts to get past him. My allies were not putting in the work in this fight. I started circling around, so they took the aggro from Doragon, and I'll just cowardly attack him from the back. Doragon finally goes down. Terminator Dominic is rescued, but now there is a new problem. Someone needs to pilot the ship because it's still headed straight toward the satellite. That's when a strange voice breaks through, offering hope. Ko recognizes immediately it's Lian, the woman from the game's opening cutscene and someone who's been fighting Mikado through parallel efforts this whole time. She instructs the bouncers to escape using the rear shuttle, which is programmed to land safely back on Earth. The rest of the ship does not make it. The Gallios crashes with the satellite and Doragon is left drifting alone in space. Lian basically saved us. Back on solid ground, Ko is contacted directly and praised for a job well done. She tells him more instructions will come soon. This is where the post-credits scene kick in, and they change depending on who you use to defeat Doragon. Since we beat him with Ko, we return to the bar, back to something resembling a normal life. Lian calls in again and tells Ko to take a vacation, which pretty much confirms it. Ko has been officially assigned to protect Dominique by whoever Lian actually works for. After his shift ends, Ko gets another urgent call. Go to the Central Plaza, he arrives alone, Lian is there and immediately offers hands, for no clear reason. Lian is no joke. I was using my best character and still got completely toyed with. There are no retries here, win or lose the story continues. At one point I was straight up running in panic mode, almost worse than Doragon. Somehow I beat her, turns out the whole thing was a test, and Ko passes. He's cleared to continue protecting Dominique. Credits roll, that's the end of the bouncer. And interestingly, this is the only ending where you actually get a fight. Sion's ending is just a flashback showing when he first met Dominique. Bolt's ending has Echidna showing up at the bar, casually asking for a job as a bouncer. In my opinion, good storytelling, good ideas, not so great gameplay. Plus, there was a massive chunk of lore that goes unnoticed because of how short the experience is. After that, I check out the survival mode that throws you against endless Mikado security forces, not very fun. Versus mode lets you do free-for-all fights with unlocked characters, and yes, there is all versions of Doragon there, someone on the dev team clearly liked his design. I started a new game plus, which is basically the same campaign, but your bouncers keep their levels. This time I focus on exploring path variations and spending bouncer points to unlock more moves. Combat does improve a bit, but it's still clunky. Besides, look at the way they show you the moves. Could have they not show you the skill sets as X, circle, square, or triangle instead of that? But whatever, that's pretty much everything the Bouncer has to offer. A fun little experience that I needed to test by myself after reading so much negative things about how the game aged. It was something else and showed the potential of the console pretty early in the 2000s. Really leaves me hopeful about what the PS2 library holds for me in the future. There is many Square Enix titles that I never got to finish as a kid. Now we're going to get it. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Celis, and with nothing else to say, good night.